prefer to not, please turn your cameras off, even though at the moment what's on the screen is my presentation. So totally up to you. Obviously, we love having your cameras on because it makes it a little more interactive, but it's whatever you are comfortable with. Still got people joining. So we had, I think, nearly 200 sign up for today's event on sustainability. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. And we got some wonderful guests for you today. So if you can just make sure your microphones are muted, there will be the opportunity to unmute and ask questions. Those that have been to this event before, we are a community. This is very informal. We want you to feel comfortable enough to unmute and ask questions as and when you want to, but you can of course use the chat function as well if you prefer. And of course, some of you might not have a camera or a microphone, so use the chat function. Please do ask any questions throughout the session as well, whether that's to Carol and I or whether that's to our wonderful guest speakers today. As I said, this session is being recorded and it does get posted on YouTube and sent out to everyone that has registered. So you're on YouTube forever now. Use the chat function, comments, feedback, and at the very end of today's session, I have got a really short survey that I would love you to complete as well. So I'm guessing all of you have got your mobile phones at hand because it has a QR code, or I'm going to share the link in the chat when we come to that stage for you to complete it. Carol, I'll hand over to you.
Yep, by all means. Good morning, everybody, and it's lovely to have you join us this morning. This morning's Beauty Collective, we're going to be covering sustainability. The agenda today are going to be introductions. We're going to be introducing our new brand, obviously talking about sustainability, and we have two wonderful guest speakers. We've got Victoria from the British Beauty Council, and we also have Rosie from Aqua Natural. We're going to have a question and answer session and then any feedback. When our guest speakers are talking, if you want to ask questions or put them in the chat room, as Kate said earlier, then please feel free to do so. Next slide, please, Kate. So I'm just going to introduce myself first. My name's Carol Lindsay and I'm one of the key account managers for VTCT Skills. I predominantly look after the iTech centres around the UK, and I also look after the higher level qualifications, anything from level 4 to level 7. Kate.
Thank you. So I'm Kate, I'm Key Account Manager for London and Essex and have a beauty therapy background. You've also got on the screen our lovely Nikki, who can't be with us today, but Nikki looks after Wales and Northern Ireland. And I'm not sure if Kelly's here. Kelly, if you are, feel free to unmute, but if you're not, Kelly is the account manager for some of our centres in the north of England.
Thank you. So, you'll see that the slides are coming through very slowly, Kate, just to let you know.
Yeah, okay. Have you got the video up on the screen?
Yes, I have. So what I'd like to do is we'd like to start by playing a very brief video. It's only a couple of minutes long, and it's all about our new branding. As you can see, both Kate and I have a different background behind us, and I know we changed over in approximately October time to our new VTCT Skills branding. So do you want to just hit the play button, Kate?
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully you will have sound and all will be well. but it worked successfully.
It did. We did have a comment about not being able to see the screen. Was that Hayley? Can you now see the screen, Hayley Loveridge? Because I know
Oh, perfect.
yeah, there was a big black box in it at some point, wasn't there? So I do apologise about that.
It's always a risk when using PowerPoint and Zoom together for a video, but we did it. Thank you. I'm going to go on to the next slide because the issue might be that slide itself. That one come up successfully, Carol?
Yes, it's slightly blown. We've got a slight black box again in that one, unfortunately.
Okay. What I'll do is once we've got through this bit, I'll close it down and just reshare. So for those that haven't joined us before, welcome if this is your first beauty collective. So our aim, as mentioned earlier, is we want to create a community uniting educators in the beauty and non-medical aesthetics sector to help shape the future of education. And our purpose is that we want to have a range of guest speakers and demonstrations that provide you with CPD. It gives you the opportunity to network, meet new people, discuss any issues that you've got happening at the moment. So we want to create a space where you can share your skills and we can evolve together. So welcome everybody that's joined us for the first time today, and welcome back to those that have joined us previously. Right, what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing for a second just to see if that then fixes any issues that we might be having. Okay. Carol, would you like to introduce Victoria?
Yes.
And I'm just going to
say
have a little...
the screens are still slightly blurry, but I think we'll progress.
I think we will. Victoria will share hers in a minute, and we'll see if it's at my end.
So I'd like to introduce our first wonderful guest speaker, and we have Victoria. Victoria, do you want to start sharing your screen and obviously introduce yourself fully?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, it was really intimidating. I could suddenly see everybody's faces. So
now you know how I feel. I can't see everyone until this point.
And so I'm just going to get the presentation to where I want it, and then I'm going to start sharing it. 1 second.
Thank you.
There we go. Apologies. Okay. For some reason, it won't let me go now back to the first slide. I don't quite know what's happened. It's different to when we first started.
Don't worry, just take your time.
Right.
As we were saying earlier, many people here have experienced online teaching before and know how you feel.
Okay. Let's hope that this is going to start now. From the beginning. Let's see. Hooray! Right, here we go. I hope you've prepared yourself.
And it's all coming up great. So over to you.
Lovely to see so many faces on the screen earlier. So thank you so much for coming to this presentation today. I hope this will be interesting. And if you've, like me, got an interest in sustainability, there might be something in here that interests you. My door is always open. If you ever want to contact me after this, please feel free to do so either through the team here or directly to me through victoria@britishbeautycouncil.com. I'm always happy to chat to people about anything sustainability or policy focused. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that right now. So my name is Victoria Brownlee, And the team said it would be good and is quite standard that you might talk a little bit about kind of myself and how I got to the position that I am now. So I work within the hair and beauty space, within the hair and beauty industry. I've worked for the British Beauty Council for the last 3 years. And prior to that, I worked for the National Hair and Beauty Federation. But previous to that, I've always basically just been a bit of a politics nerd. So I've worked for lots of different organisations over the years, from animal welfare to construction to local government, basically looking at ways in which kind of the things that we do and interact with every day affect all of those different areas. So quite often people phase out when you say that you love politics. But for me, it's in everything we do. So it's in the education that we're provided, it's in the careers that we have, it's in the industries that support those careers, it's in the services that you use if you need to go to the doctors or you're having children or need cancer therapy. It basically affects everything we do in our life. And as such, sustainability is a really key part of that as well. So here are some examples of kind of my life over this last 3 years at the British Beauty Council, to kind of show you that even within the hair and beauty industry, I get to do some absolutely fantastic things. I have regular meetings at Number 10. I interact regularly with the Prime Minister and relevant other ministers and Secretary of States. I was lucky enough to take my children to the European Union to present on sustainability in Brussels. I have managed to attend COP26 in Glasgow in 2021 as one of the only beauty organisations actually allowed access to the internal space. We've created some fantastic events for industry over the years, such as the Plastic Solution Summit, which I'll go into later. And I also self-funded myself a year and a half ago through the University of Oxford to actually get a formal sustainability qualification, as moving away from something that I'm personally just very interested in to something that I get to now do as part of my job every day. So I count myself really, really lucky to be able to partner something that I'm personally very passionate about, hair, beauty, wellness, everything that comes with our industry, as well as my other interests, politics, the environment, sustainability more widely. So it just shows you that, you know, you can partner a few different things that you love together to find your kind of perfect career. And why I love the beauty industry is because it's so often discounted, and I'm sure you know this as well, as kind of fluffy stuff that girls do, something that's quite irrelevant to everyday life. When it's absolutely not. We contribute more than the arts and entertainment sectors from a kind of economic contribution perspective, more than pubs and bars. In terms of high street representation, we are number 1 on the high street and have been for the last 10 years. We employ over 600,000 people in total. And yeah, we just have a lot to say for ourselves. So in that way, we need to be around the table and making sure that governments and wider society are taking note of how and what we think as an industry, and that will then help better support those people in society, because we genuinely do help bring out the best in people, help people feel like their most successful and competent selves, and I think that that's something that should absolutely be celebrated. But where there is a common problem and a continuing problem is that I think often when people think about careers in hair and beauty, it's quite often discounted. We often find that young people are discouraged from going into careers in those spaces unless they're kind of considered not academic, which is completely wrong. So we actually developed something over the last couple of years called the Future Talent Programme, which actually looks to promote careers within the industry, both within the more commonly associated careers, so being a makeup artist, working as a beauty therapist, aesthetic practitioner, anything in that kind of more services-based space, but also you could be a cosmetic scientist, you could be a sustainability coordinator. There are so many different careers within the beauty industry, and that encompasses hair, beauty and wellness, I should say, and that we really want people to be thinking about that. And as you can imagine, with my sustainability hat on, I absolutely had to have sustainability as a career within there as well. So we actually created a film about careers within sustainability and beauty, which I'd really like to show you now, if the sound works for me. Let's see.
So, careers.
I love sport, so I might go down a sporty path.
I've always been told that maths and science is the best option.
Sometimes it feels like there's just so many career choices.
I'm a bit confused.
I'm really interested in beauty.
I feel like I want to know more about it, don't you?
nail technician.
There are more than 5,000 beauty brands operating here in the UK.
Employing more than 500,000 people.
But how much do you know about what they do?
In this series, we'll be venturing to the other side of what we see on our screens and our shelves.
To take a peek at some of the thousands of different careers that are in this fun and creative industry.
Not sure beauty is relevant to you? Did you wash today?
I hope so.
Brush your teeth?
Wear sunscreen this weekend.
Use a filter on Insta or TikTok.
Looking for a way to save our planet?
Or did you set yourself up with something fresh today?
Well, the beauty industry is responsible for all of that. So, let's go.
Recycling, plastics,
Overconsumption.
chemicals, a big problem.
Now let's look at beauty as a problem solver in that. I've never thought about how the beauty industry could help solve the issues we face around climate change before,
I want to find out more about sustainable beauty, why it's relevant to me.
and speak to people who are helping find solutions to the world's environmental problems.
Do I need my placards for that?
The beauty industry is probably one of the most progressive industries when it comes to sustainability.
I love how hyper-educated consumers are and how they don't let brands convince them of something until they have evidence.
People want to know their product's journey, where the ingredients are sourced, and really go into depth about how sustainable their products are.
My goal is really to make sure that the communication that we are developing is based on strong data and science, so it is true and sincere for the consumer.
The most important thing is authenticity and transparency.
Everyone is so passionate about the ingredients that go into the products that they use.
When I formulate products, I want to use raw materials that are sustainable and don't have detrimental effects on the environment.
So what we're doing with palm oil is working with it in a responsibly sourced way, ensuring we understand the supply chain completely, only working with partners who are also in the same position.
A lot of brands are trying to be carbon negative. That means replanting trees. That means regenerating the earth in such a way that is moving sustainability into the forefront of the beauty industry.
For my internship in my master's degree, I went to Madagascar to work on the sourcing of our ingredients, help the inhabitants in the forest to have all the skills that they need to have a good living. And I think sustainability is all about helping people and also having good ingredients, so it's a win-win situation. I think it was very rewarding because I'm always trying to find a sense of purpose in what I'm doing.
Early on in my career, I was really interested in trying to visualize unseen realities that exist around us. If I tell you your facts and figures of your carbon footprint, you might not listen to me. But if I put you in a jacket and it changes color in real time from yellow to black to let you know how much carbon emission you've absorbed each day, would we have more impact on the planet?
We're looking for sustainably supplied plant material. Fungi could be involved in producing next generation of natural plastics for packaging, but also potentially for ingredients, because you can control fungi in a more sustainable way than you can actually some plants.
Things like mushroom packaging that I've never heard of before are really challenging perceptions of fragrance into something that's very special.
Where do you think the beauty industry is going in terms of saving the environment and sustainability?
I feel like beauty is like the biggest industry for having a lot of packaging, and I feel like it's gotten so much better. And I feel like if the future generation can really continue on that message, we're going to go in the right direction.
As product reviewers, we're conscious on not only the products we're buying, but the PR packages that we get. The more your audience grows, the more you have a responsibility to think, what message are we putting out there as far as consuming?
Without science, technology, innovation, and design, we're going to be in a very worrying place. We created an incredible innovation called plastic, but we made throwaway bags out of it. Like, why make a material in science that can last forever and then design something with it to be thrown away? The future is about looking to innovation and looking to science, but bringing in that design lens and that art lens to create things out of it that have lasting potential, that can truly change the world.
I would definitely encourage any young person to come into the beauty industry. I think there's so much opportunity, there's so much more to learn and to know.
There are a lot of opportunities in the beauty industry when it comes to sustainability. Either you can work from a sourcing perspective with your ingredients, and from a packaging perspective also you can work on different material, and also from a usage perspective you can develop new technologies.
We need scientists and innovators to come in with new ideas, push boundaries to really drive this forward.
Sounds cool. Let's go. Action.
Inspirational.
Solution.
Purposeful. It's the only way.
Knowing what you know now, has it helped you?
You too could do any of these. The journey starts here.
Could you be a future talent in sustainability?
Awesome. Ooh.
So,
There we go. Sorry, thank you. I never know how to stop these things. I still watch that every single time and absolutely love it. And I've watched it about 50 million times now. I just feel so proud of those films because for me, it so brilliantly depicts people's passion within the industry for what they do and for all the different jobs that they do within that. So I'd really encourage you to go on our website and have a look at some of the other ones that we focus on. And in the coming years, we're looking to expand our film series to actually cover other things. So at the moment, we have 4 films around sustainability, technology, cosmetic science, and fragrance. And we're looking to do more around actually the services side of hair and beauty, makeup artistry, and beauty therapists, etc. So definitely watch this space, and I would really encourage you to share it. We have some interesting gifts here. If you're ever interested in just searching on your Instagram, if you search Future Talent or British Beauty Council, these generally always come up. So they're always a little bit of fun that's nice to share. Right, so let's get into the Sustainable Beauty Coalition, because that's basically why I'm here. I just love talking about the other stuff as well. So the Sustainable Beauty Coalition was set up really as a kind of kick up the bum for the industry, if I'm completely honest. So we as the British Beauty Council are here to raise the reputation of the beauty industry. So whether that's by improving standards in the way that we operate within ourselves internally as an industry, or whether that's helping to have ourselves better represented within the halls of Westminster and Europe and other areas of the devolved nations. And with beauty and sustainability, or our environmental impact, we have lots and lots of different people within the industry doing lots of great work. But the problem that we'd found was that most organisations and individuals were working in silo, and no one was actually doing this work together. So the purpose of the council has basically been to bring all of these people into one space to look at a way that we can work more effectively together to elevate and escalate the change at speed, which is much more quick than has presently or previously been happening. So the Sustainable Beauty Coalition was formed as one of the key recommendations of a report that we commissioned called Courage to Change. Some of the stats were included within that video that you just saw, but really it just highlighted the huge impacts that we have as an industry, both in terms of the consumption of products, the waste that we produce, but also where we can actually be part of that solution, where people are changing their usage habits in terms of products. We can be creating products where the packaging of that product is able to be reused, refilled, that it composts, that it biodegrades in a much more sustainable way than perhaps using plastic, which, as we've discussed in that video, is much less sustainable. So we need to be looking at ways where we can move more quickly, as I previously said, together as an industry to do that. And there's roles that each of us can play across all different areas of the industry, because we have brands, we have retailers, we have professional services, we have schools and colleges, and we have the comms and marketing of the beauty industry, we have lobbying and government relations side, and all of those need to be doing work, because there ultimately is an appetite with consumers where they want us as an industry to be working harder and faster to find solutions for them. So these are the 6 task forces that we have as the Sustainable Beauty Coalition. And this is to try and kind of really make sure that the work that we're doing is really targeted and focused. So I'd say with regards to kind of the education space, the professional services task force is most relevant to that. So we have people that work within that also work in the education space, and there's been a lot of work to try and see how we can more effectively get teaching around sustainability and having more sustainable operational practices in professional services spaces. Although, as we've kind of been discussing with the VTCT team today, the actual rollout of that is more difficult while there are various reviews and things going on. But yeah, this is essentially how we've worked to date. And then over this last kind of 6 months, we've been developing a project which is a sexier way of saying waste management strategy, which I think we can all agree you would have immediately switched off and gone and carried on with your day today, called the Great British Beauty Cleanup. And the basic premise of that is we produce 120 billion units a year of waste as the beauty industry, but yet we know that a very, very large proportion of that waste will ultimately just go straight to landfill. It won't be recycled, it won't be reused, and we really need to be doing something to better equip consumers and educate industry to change the way that they're working. So whether that's consumers taking back their empties to places where they can be recycled and repurposed. So Boots, for example, have a fantastic scheme. The Hut Group that own Look Fantastic and Cult Beauty, they've just set up a really fantastic home recycling scheme where you can actually just log your empties on an online platform, and then Royal Mail literally comes and picks up your empties for you, and it's like a loyalty scheme where you get rewards for doing that. And L'Occitane also have fantastic take-back schemes within their retail stores as well. There are loads and loads of different ways where people can actually not just simply throw away their empties into the bin. They can actually be recycled, whether that's curbside recycling or those more difficult to recycle items being taken back through these proper recycling programs. But then there's also a case for the reuse refill idea, and the idea of utilizing refill pouches instead of having to buy the big bulky larger pieces of packaging which are more difficult to recycle and do have a higher kind of carbon footprint, and educating consumers about how we can do that more as well. So we have this event called the Great British Beauty Cleanup, which we're starting the comms around now. So we've started it with trying to get brands and retailers involved. So we have the likes of Boots, Superdrug, Sephora, the Hut Group, all going to be involved in a big kind of public-facing shop front, social media, online website kind of campaign where they will be promoting the Great British Beauty Cleanup and educating consumers about what they can do and what they are personally doing as industry. But then we're also looking at what we can be doing kind of in the education and professional services space to really amplify that message as well, even if it's just in terms of good practice and what consumers can and could do, and then maybe what salons could look at doing as well, whether that's some of the Green Salon Collective examples as a one particularly I've pulled out the air there, where you can send back foils and have certain foils and different more difficult to recycle items sent back to specific recycling centres. Those are all different things that we can look at doing, or even just simple swaps where we're reducing the waste that we produce as professional services or education providers in the training that you do by changing the types of towels that you use, changing the types of products that you use, even so simple as using energy saving light bulbs. There's lots and lots of different things that we can do. So if you're keen to be involved in that, please do come back to me and I'd be happy to share more with you on that. And then the Planet Positive Beauty Directory. This is something which, again, is a really fantastic resource. I would really recommend that you share if it's something that a problem that you often face as well. In terms of the reason why we set up the Planet Positive Beauty Directory, previously called the Planet Positive Beauty Guide, but it's just got so huge that it's now a directory. Essentially, it's a space that acts almost like a search engine to allow people to search through sustainability terms, debunk kind of myths and lack of understanding about what the various different kind of terminologies and even things on the packets that you see now the various kind of different logos and things, they can be very confusing, and it can really make people not really sure what they are and aren't purchasing or signing up to or supporting or not supporting. So the point of the Planet Positive Beauty Directory is really to try and help people navigate that space a little bit more easily, but also suggest areas where you can maybe make sustainable swaps or tools and resources of things that you can go to learn more, find recycling centres, find take-back schemes, etc. I was going to take you through on the website to show you kind of how it works. I kind of think I'm not sure we're going to have time for that. So I have just put a couple of the pages up here so you can have kind of a look at it. But we have 4 different sections. We have a professional services, we have a brands, we have a retailers, and we have a consumer facing section. And I really recommend going and having a really good kind of rummage through it to see what you can find that might be helpful to you. The one you can see on your left here, the find your nearest recycling point, that essentially pinpoints where you are and tells you where you might be able to take back your empties to have the more difficult items recycled and reused and repurposed is ultimately what we're all here for. And then the simple swaps there that you can see on the bottom right-hand side, that's just an example of some of the things where, from a consumer side, you can change the way that you're using things or the things that you're using to be more sustainable. We also have ones that are more industry focused as well, that focus more on the kinds of things like bedroll, for example, or as I mentioned before, towels, etc. And then the resources and education. There's some really fantastic things on there. The BABTAC, British Association of Beauty Therapists and Cosmetology, that you'll see in that middle section of the top right, they have a fantastic resource which basically gives a step-by-step guide of how a salon or a beauty business can move to be more sustainable. And I actually think it's a really good step-by-step guide that I'd really recommend people looking at. But even in terms of just looking on the terminology section of the sustainability terms one there, of kind of what actually is a scope 3 emission, and if something says palm oil friendly, what does that mean? I mean, the one that I always come back to is the fact that it's anybody that's got 1% organic material can put an organic logo on their products, which to me is absolutely mad and very misleading. But I think it's really important that we educate ourselves as to kind of what all of these symbols and terms mean. And then lastly, I showed you a picture of it at the beginning. The Plastic Solution Summit is a real kind of brainchild of mine and something that I'm really passionate about. And it's really looking at our massive reliance on plastic as an industry. We're the 4th largest producer of plastic packaging out of any industry. And we have a lot to answer for when it comes to our use of plastic. And so our work as part of the Plastic Solution Summit has been to bring industry together to look at how we can legitimately reduce that reliance on plastic by moving to more sustainable alternatives. So changing the packaging that we use, reducing the amount of packaging so that we don't need packaging and packaging and packaging. Working with suppliers, and we've just started working with Tesco actually, which has been really eye-opening in terms of the products that they allow to come into their stores. There are now certain prerequisites that they have with those suppliers that they can't now be bound in plastic, and they can't have more than X amount of carbon footprint in order to kind of come through and actually be accepted to be stocked within Tesco, which I think is really brave. But then as a result, we now have Sainsbury's and other big kind of retailers copying and following that framework, which is really fantastic. And that's all come from linking all of these different groups and organizations and brands and retailers together as part of the Sustainable Beauty Coalition and this Plastic Solution Summit to say, hey, we've actually tried something that's working, or don't bother with that, that was really expensive and don't do that, whatever. So it's a really good way of actually putting the competitive nature that is our industry to one side for ultimately the good of the planet, which is really, if we don't have a functioning planet, then we're all pretty screwed. So I think it's important. So just to finish off, I just wanted to kind of go through a few things of how people can get involved if they want to in any of the work that we do as the British Beauty Council. As I said, my door is always open. I'd be really happy to speak to anyone. You're also welcome to link me on LinkedIn. I always love chatting to people on there. The most pertinent ones is this Great British Beauty Cleanup in March. It's the first time we've ever done it. We're really nervous because we really need as big sign up across industry as possible to really get that message and show the consumer that we're really serious about our role as the beauty industry in promoting more conscious consumerism in the way that we're using and disposing of products after we've used them. And then the Planet Positive Beauty Directory, which is genuinely just a gift to the world and industry to help people understand better all of the different kind of information that's thrown at you around sustainability, which I just think gets massively confusing. And so you go search on the internet, you can end up going down a rabbit hole of just 5 or 6 different companies trying to sell you something that you don't even really know if you definitely need. The Planet Positive Beauty Directory is perfect because we're not there endorsing anybody, we're not selling you anything. It's all completely open and free, an open resource. So please utilize it and share it and use it as you see fit. And then just really it's about banging the drum. So I'm always that person, a friend with my friends or with my family that is making people think more about kind of how they're consuming and what they're using and asking questions about the products that they're buying. But I'm that step change that then next time they're shopping makes them have that think, which then they have that conversation with somebody else and they have that conversation with someone else. So what I'm saying is essentially be that awkward person as well, and together hopefully we can actually move things forward when it comes to kind of more sustainable space in the beauty industry. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate your patience.
Thank you so much, Victoria. That was absolutely brilliant. And can I just say, we have had a comment in the chat room saying, awesome and insightful session. I love it. Thanks a million for organising this. So I do really appreciate you doing that for us, Victoria.
You're so welcome. Thank you, everyone.
If anybody's got any questions, if you could put for Victoria, if you could put them in the chat room. I know that I've just got one, which is really about, obviously the audience today is mainly our centres and there's some students in the background as well. But what are your 3 top tips for helping centres to become more sustainable?
A really good question. I think there's some real basics you can look at in terms of the energy efficiency of the energy efficiency of the building, absolutely. And then in terms of the sourcing of the products that you're using, so even something as simple as, you know, the hand soap that you're using, if you've got feminine products in your toilet, the tea that you're buying, even those kind of really simple changes, you can be looking and thinking more about where those products are sourced from, trying to shop local where you can, looking for fair trade logos. I always think B Corp is a really fantastic organisation that's kind of certifies businesses that are looking to operate more sustainably. Looking for a B Corp logo where you can is always a really good first step. But I think it's just more about questioning yourself. I grew up in a world where you kind of, you buy something, you use it, you throw it away, you don't think anything of it. And it's only really been in this last 5 to 10 years that I've actually started thinking about, if everything that I use here today, I was then responsible for disposing of in my back garden, would I still want it? And that goes for anything I buy my family, anything that I consume myself, anything that I use on a day-to-day basis. If at the end of every day I had to, the waste, instead of going into a landfill somewhere, the landfill was my garden, would I still use and want that product? And I think just changing that mind perception has really made me change the way I buy and use products. And so maybe it will help for you guys as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
And yes, more than happy to share the slides.
Yeah, yes, we'll send those through the slides to everybody who's registered today. Thank you very much. We've got a question. Would you enforce VTCT centres to have compulsory recycling scheme in place? Well, that's something we can definitely take back to our corporate leadership team. And what is your view on greenwashing? How to spot companies that really do good about environment and then pretend doing so? Yeah.
On the recycling, just to kind of give you a bit of a break, as VTCT, the problem that we've got with recycling at the moment is that there's huge disparity from county to county as to kind of what can and can't be recycled. It gets ever so confusing. And so there are some that are doing brilliant work and some that aren't. Others, there are some recycling centres that are far more advanced in terms of the types of materials that can actually go through their recycling systems and the types that can't. There's new legislation called Simpler Recycling and the extended producer responsibility legislation that's coming through at the moment and is being implemented over the next couple of years, which will essentially, from the simpler recycling perspective, mean that every recycling system across the UK has to have exactly the same, sorry, the England, this is England, has to have exactly the same in terms of what it does and it doesn't take. And it's also improving what it can and can't take. So a lot of things that at the moment aren't curbside recycling that you have to take to a store or you take to your large supermarket or you take back to Boots or whatever, more of those will move into curbside recycling, which will be more positive, obviously, and make things much easier for consumers. And then from the extended producer responsibility perspective, brands will be, and those that manufacture and produce products will be more responsible for the end life of that product. They'll have to start paying a tax based on how recyclable or reusable that product is, and that will completely change the way that people create and build products, essentially, because they'll incur huge taxes as a result of their products being not very sustainable or environmentally positive. So there are huge changes, which I think will then place more onus on the councils, the government, and businesses to have to operate like that. Because what I don't like is that often the problem is pushed onto the consumer or to the college. You should be doing more, and that the responsibility is with us as consumers, that because you're not recycling, you're awful people, when actually we should just be being able to only consume products. We shouldn't be having to go out of our way to find products which are able to be composted or more sustainable or can be recycled in a safe way. And it's actually, yeah, much more of the responsibility of those other parties than it should be ever be for the consumer. So I'm giving you a bit of a pass there.
Yeah.
On greenwashing, that's a really tricky one. And we've actually seen the opposite happen, where there's a problem around green hushing now, where companies, because they're worried about backlash or being shamed or cancelled in other ways, that they aren't promoting any of the positive environmental stuff that they're doing. And as a result, it's meant that even since COP26 in Glasgow in 2021, which then made loads of noise, and sustainability became a really big issue a couple of years ago, when you survey people now in terms of how important sustainability and the environment is to them compared to 2 years ago, especially among young people, which I find really sad, it's almost half in terms of how important people find it. And that's because brands have become terrified about actually talking positively about the good work that they're doing, because they're worried that other things that they're doing that aren't so positive, because they haven't been able to move everything into that really positive spaces, that it's a process, will be criticized. And so I'm always very, very nervous about greenwashing, because I always see it as kind of one step greener. Nobody is perfect, but everything that we can do that moves us one step closer and has ultimately good intentions, I think should be promoted and should be celebrated. And it's really a learning process for all of us. Some of the things that we thought that we were doing, say, for example, carbon offsetting, whenever you went on a plane going and paying £2 extra to plant a tree somewhere, 5 years ago, we thought that that was the solution. And now we know more. We know that that's not necessarily the solution. So we have to learn and grow as we do that.
Thank you again, Victoria. Absolutely brilliant insight. We've just very quickly got one more question. Is consumerism a problem in sustainability?
I think consumerism definitely is a problem. We need people. Well, I'd be doing our industry out of jobs and services, I guess, by saying that people shouldn't be consuming as much. I think it's about conscious consumerism. So buying the amount that we're buying isn't necessarily the problem, but the choices that we're making and the throwaway culture of our society, I think, is probably a larger part of the problem. If we were using, so say, for example, apparently the average skincare regime has changed from an average of 3 products to an average of over 10 products in any one person's day. If all of those products were created in a way where the product could be refilled, or that the packaging was compostable in that person's garden, or all of the ingredients were produced and sourced in an ethical way, then there'll be no problem with the fact that that's now 10 products. The problem is that all of the majority of those 10 products are then going into a landfill, which then is having a negative impact on the environment. So it's all about how we can do that conscious consumerism rather than consumerism as a whole.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Right, I know we've got to move on rapidly. Unfortunately, Victoria, I could have listened to you all day long. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys.
With regards to our next guest speaker, I'd like to introduce you to Rosie.
Morning, all.
Morning, Rosie. Thank you for joining us today, Rosie.
Thank Thank you all, and what a pleasure it was to listen to Victoria, her work and the Beauty Council on the topic that we are all encountering in the beauty industry is very informative, and I suppose this is the start of it now. So without further ado, I think I just want to introduce myself. I'm Rosie. I'm a brand owner and a manufacturer of Aqua Natural Strip Sugar. I'm also a waxing therapist and a trainer in my brand. I introduced the concept of strip sugar into the UK market back in the early 1990s. So something that wasn't available, and that's what prompted me to get into this manufacturing. So I've now been in the beauty industry for more than 40 years. I know we are short of time, so I'm going to be just brief and short, giving you a bit of my background and my backstory, where I came from and how it all started. My life started in a very different world from the world we are living in or today that I'm experiencing. I grew up in Tanzania, in a beautiful country, but it was economically very poor and challenging. My formative years were in an environment where resources were scarce. So our everyday life was queuing for stuff, bread, butter, milk, and because that was whatever that day was available, so we had to queue for it. So it was when I look back, I cannot believe that, how my life was spent. And that instilled the values that what I have now. I feel that when you don't have stuff, how you minimize and how do you adapt to the resources that you have. I mean, I can give you just one small example. At the age of 7, I learned how to purify water because the running water came from a river. And whenever you opened up the taps, it was quite muddy and the color was brown. So as kids, we were told, you fill up the buckets and put this white powder and leave it for 24 hours. So the mud would sort of do a sedimentation process, and then boil the water and then use it for drinking purposes. So is there anybody know what that white powder would be? I realized much later what it was. No? It was alum. So we used alum for cleansing, and it was used within the beauty as a deodorant, and it was a go-to product actually, but I guess now they are a bit skeptical on the use of it. Anyway, fast forward, we can talk about now sustainability. It's been something that, because I come from that background, and if you can look on the screen, these are all the things that I felt that I had been exposed to. So there was no waste. We always reused a lot of stuff. The ingredients that were used were biodegradable. Energies was something that, electricity was in some of the places that we didn't have electricity. So we were quite conscious about what the resources were. And now I'm talking about 50 years ago, what my life was, and look at it, how things have moved on. We are now into that cycle that what I went through, we have to now practice in the West. So these things were deeply rooted in how I looked at when I moved into the UK. At the age of 15 in Tanzania, I started, my first job was in a salon, and it was mostly relied on centuries-old recipes, extracts from using oils, botanicals, herbs, and we made these products to use as treatments for facial, for foot care, although we didn't have any makeup because importation of products were restricted. So we relied on everything that was available within our means. And sugaring was one of the most popular living in the tropics. So we used to make our product from just simple mixing sugar and lemon juice, cooking it, and then using, as you would do now, waxing. So that's where my background started, and my formative education on using natural ingredients came from. And it was such a simple life that, I never thought that, you could just go to a shop and buy stuff till I came to the UK. So let me just go fast forward because I want to spend a little bit more time on demonstrating the product. So and I suppose Victoria has covered a lot of the topics that I wanted to talk on sustainability as brands, as how we can minimize all that. So I won't go into it, in what I perhaps wanted to talk about. So sustainability, I feel that it's become a generic term without any specific guidelines or enforcement at the moment. But it can be quite complex to implement at every level, depending on the different sector of the industry you're talking to. So for the beauty industry, it means creating products and practices that are good for the planet and to the people around. Also taking into account the entire cycle of the product, of the ethical sourcing, ingredients, good manufacturing practice, minimizing packaging, disposal of waste, and of course, carbon footprint, energy. There's so much to it that it's very difficult as a company or a small brand owner that we have encountered. But for me, it was much more easier to adapt to because not only my backstory from home, but then when I came to the UK and when I started the business, which the reason I started was I was trying to set up as a mobile therapist, and I couldn't find sugar wax. And that prompted me to start a small manufacturing and supplying to the professional market, because apart from the waxes, there were no natural products available in the market. And I saw that gap, and that's what, so it was in 1989, I first launched my strip sugar with the intention to supply to the professional, in the professional sector. Unfortunately, the 1990s to be proved the most difficult period for me, because once we launched the product, we had the recession. And as a small brand, we found it very difficult to penetrate the sector. So I had to look for another way of, because we had the unit, we had everything here. And sometimes, there's always somebody who inspires you. And it was Anita Roddick at that time. I used to see her on the telly all the time. And her message resonated with me so much that I just felt that I wish, there was an opportunity. And I took the courage and wrote to her that there is a product that is lacking in the market. And within a year, we got a contract with them, which lasted for 18 years. But that wasn't easy because they made sure that as a company, we had to meet all their manufacturing practices. They had ethical, getting ingredients from ethical sourcing, manufacturing practices, the disposal part of it, the packaging part of it. So I think I learned so much from that. And they used to have ethical audits coming to the factory to make sure that we complied with all their what they set out in their within their company policies. So 18 years gave me, I think, I realized that although I used to work behind the scenes, but that valuable information and what I've learned is today I can still practice. So I think I'm not going to get much time and I can get to the product. So I'm going to just talk about Aquanatural. I came back into the market in 2019, back to the professional market in an active way. I just wanted to, I just feel it's the right time again, because having lost all those years, I felt the waxing market still was missing out on a natural product that I really wanted to pursue. So I will just, I think, get my camera on and get my model here so we can just get her up on the couch. Just
Take your time.
Thank you very much, Rosie. I know we've been asked a question with regards to getting, how can we get in touch and get the wax? We will be sharing the slides, and I know Rosie's got a slide actually with the details regarding the wax as well. So that will be coming up later.
And I think maybe some of the people on here have actually done some training with Rosie as well already, which is fabulous. So I was saying to Rosie before, I tried sugaring once and I was absolutely terrible at it because I was quite a messy waxing specialist. Great with wax eventually, but yeah, sugaring was a nightmare. So what Rosie's actually going to demonstrate today is a stripped version, which would probably have been much safer for me to use and far less messy.
Yes, I remember when I was doing training on sugaring, and that is many, many years ago. I actually got hit in the face by a therapist across the other side of the salon who actually flicked it off a finger, and it just actually hit me. So yes, I grew to love sugaring in the end.
Yeah,
it took a lot of practice and a few bruises along the way.
Absolutely, and it was when one of my students was training for World Skills, it was actually one of the competitions she had to do sugaring as well, which was a bit of surprise. Yes. Here we are. That looks perfect. Rosie, you are actually on mute, and I don't think I can perfect. You're a star.
Okay, so I will. Can everybody see the legs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect position.
All right.
Thank you to your lovely model as well for showing us her legs.
So Rosie, whilst you're preparing and ready for your demonstration, can you actually tell me the difference between the strip and the actual sugaring?
Yes, I will just give a bit of a, okay. So the difference when we talk about sugar and sugaring, both the products are made from more or less the same ingredients, sugar and lemon juice. Lemon juice is to make the product, when you think about a sweet, it needs citric acid to make sure that the product gets to the efficacy, because lemon gives the stickiness as well. Sugaring is made to a consistency which you use like a bowl, and then it's by a sugaring practitioner, and she would apply the bowl and then flick it without the strip. Now, what I've developed is, because we are also familiar with waxing, that when you use sugar and lemon juice, you don't get a longer shelf life, because we realize that, once you leave the product in a cold place, it started crystallizing, it went to a warm place and it would start melting. So I went to Leatherhead College to understand sugar chemistry. And now I make the product from pure blends of sugar syrups only. So it makes the application very easy, and also it gives, you can reuse the product again and again rather than, having that different consistency. So that's the main thing. And you have to be a sugaring practitioner. It takes quite an art to learn the flicking. So this is something that you can just replace if you are a waxing therapist. You don't need any extra. There is a slight technique, I would say, and that's where my training program comes, but you can start using it. So what I have here is a mild cleanser. That's just to make sure that if there's any oil or any moisturizer, we don't use any pre-waxes which has got alcohol or oil base. So this is a very mild cleanser that I'm going to use.
So, Rosie, whilst you're cleansing the leg area, we've got a couple of questions. Would you be happy to visit our centres and academies for adults enrichment? And
Yes.
Going demonstrations is the first one.
Yes, I'm more than happy. I'm open to. I just want that when we are now talking about sustainability brands, that I really feel that this is the right time to get involved into or look into brands that it has the, at least for me, I don't have anything against waxes, but I just feel that the premium, the more, it's always better to give choices to your clients. You just don't have to have one brand. One brand works for certain areas of the body. Sometimes, with legs and all that, you can use, substitute it with a completely natural product. And it's slowly how you sort of get into that habit of adapting yourself into introducing sustainable brands into your sector. All our products are vegan and cruelty-free certified. So yeah, we just don't say it's vegan or, we have all the certification. Our talc also is, it comes from a pharmaceutical grade talc. So it's free from titanium dioxide or any fragrance. So it's very safe to use on your skin. So now I've cleansed the skin and just use the talc to dry. It's quite essential talc because it lifts the hair and dries the skin as well. Now, I usually warm the product in a microwave, keep it for a couple of seconds so it saves on energy rather than leaving the jar in, for a full day. But if you prefer, you can use a wax warmer and you get it to a consistency which is like runny honey. So that's the consistency you want. And the application, you just always start from the bottom of the leg. And you can see that you can spread it quite thinly. So you're using and when you pull the strip, you use it quite parallel, very close to the skin. I think a lot of people find that, the wax does the job. There you go. And you don't get any tackiness left on your skin because everything comes off. There's no wax. Can you see it? Can I just throw the camera?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, it was, you were perfectly positioned. We could see everything.
Yeah.
So it's a lot thinner than I thought it would be. So
oh yeah, you use much less product than you would
Yeah.
have thought. It is the application is so because
and it goes on really smoothly as well. I think you're converting us, Rosie, to sugaring.
yeah, because I think it is this is centuries-old recipe. You know, it's not something that I have just, when you say it's just finesse about the product, that the application and removal is the same, but it's the ease of it, because it applies so smoothly. And you know, you don't get waxes in your gloves, or you know, if you got any spillages, everything washes away. So there is no, in quite economical, that you're not using chemicals for a start. There's no chemicals in the product, there's no in the pre-wax, there's nothing in the after wax. So it makes a treatment much more gentler. People who have been probably afraid of doing waxing, you know, in the past, the fear of, you know, that being painful. Waxing, when we talk about waxing, it's the product that makes, once it sticks to the skin and the hair, and when you pull, it pulls the skin. Sugaring is gentle, it removes the hair, but there's no damage to the skin at all. So that's the main difference. And I think, you know, it's something that I feel salons should now give a choice to their clients who are more environmentally conscious, who want products which are eco-friendly. And our jars are refillable. So although we can't get away from, you know, plastic, it's not something that it's a preference, but it's the nature of the product. We have to refill at a very large temperature, and the product has to be warmed. So for the safety reason, we have to use this. But all jars can be sent back. I have one salon, bone therapist in Farnham. She's gone completely holistic, and all the products that she uses now are, she researches to make sure that they're all environmentally and sustainable.
Brilliant.
Do you want to see a bit of underarm as well? Do we have time?
That would be lovely if you could do a little bit of underarm. That would be great. What I was just thinking is for students, you know, that first waxing lesson where everyone is sticky, everyone is covered. This would be great because it hasn't got that stickiness. They're not going to use 20 pairs of gloves to wax one tiny area. So actually this could work really well for that as well.
Yeah, and then there's no investment involved at all. You know, you just get a product and that's it. And so I guess for me, I don't know whether, so in 2019, I lobbied to Habia to get the strip sugar into the NOS standards. And in the review of 2021, we now have strip sugar in the NVQ waxing training course that they have mentioned cream sugar, honey wax, and strip sugar. So I think it is already now in the curriculum, and it's now up to the training academies to give the opportunity to the younger generation who are coming to experience what it is to have another option alongside the waxes that they have.
Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? So well done for getting that in the National Occupation Standards. I've also got a question, Rosie, about would you be interested in getting the produce or your products to the Nigerian and other African market? Do you go internationally? Do you send them internationally?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have. That's not an issue. We are all geared up to be.
That's
fantastic.
Great.
So we'll let everybody have your details after this as well, then, Rosie. And from a sustainability question, the reduction in salon footprint from that point of view and spatula use, can you use metal spatulas?
Yes, you can.
It doesn't affect the application.
Yeah. I encourage using metal spatula, but the only thing is that they would have to make sure that the product's at the right temperature so that the spatula doesn't get, too hot. That's the only reason, because the spatula can be, but I don't know whether single-use spatula would, how they would work. You would have to have 2 or 3 and then just wash them and reuse them.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
So there you go. And the product's safe to use on any part of the body. So it's not that you need different, products for different areas.
So what are the main benefits overall against normal waxing or cool wax?
Well, if you think about normal waxes are now all plastic polymer based. So they all have plastic in it, and that's where they get the flexibility of the strips. So if you think that the amount of strips and wax that goes into the landfill that doesn't biodegrade, that's a lot. So that's the main difference, that we are using a product which is free of any chemicals.
Brilliant. I love the fact that you can return them and get them refilled. That's fantastic, isn't it?
And there you go.
Fantastic, brilliant.
Yeah, and also it doesn't, the product will retain its heat for half an hour, 40 minutes. So you just don't have to leave it on a wax warmer.
And it looks again that you're not getting many contraindications or counteractions to the wax. Looks very, very good, that.
There you go.
Thank you.
I would really encourage that the product should be given as a choice for the industry, for the younger generation, at least to try it. And it's not expensive. A jar on its own, I mean, it's $5.95. The amount of product, the amount of treatments that you get, and the savings that you're making, both as on, cleanser. I mean, imagine if you just pour a jar or spilled something, how much it would take to to dissolve, or you would be damaging your carpets, your towels, which you just sometimes can never get replaced unless you just dispose them of. But this way, at least you can clean it up with just plain water. And I also finish off the treatment with a cold just take a cold compress of towel, which is just water, and just wipe away any residue. So you're using nothing, and finish it off with an after wax, which is also water-based.
Yeah, and it's as I say, it's great for learners who do get themselves in a bit of a mess when waxing. So yeah, that they could just wash the hands, wash the product off.
Yeah, so
and again,
so
off
you're
the flags,
using
so.
yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean, we've got another comment from Jerry. She said, I found that learners can experience different products to see what the products and that they actually meet the client's needs better, which is another great point for the waxing. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions that you all have? I'm more than happy to, for me, it's I've come back with a mission, and I feel that, it's time that, we are as an industry, you have to adapt to changes.
Definitely.
Make them slowly. I mean, I always suggest that, nothing can happen overnight, because you all have to understand, and it is a process that sometimes I think in the industry is brand driven. And smaller brands do get, unfortunately, not noticed because they don't have the budgets or they don't know. They have the intention, but they can never show themselves because the bigger brands are always there who dominate in their messaging much better than somebody like me who can do it. Although I've been in the industry for such a long time, I feel it is such a struggle to convince, especially the professional market. I think the consumer market, we can perhaps say that, okay, you know, there are brands which people make a choice of. But within the professional market, the choice is quite limited, but the waxing market is quite huge. We've got about 50, 60 brands all fighting in a small, you know, sector. And I think sugaring is growing. You have seen a lot of now sugaring, specialized sugaring salons coming up. And this is one way of trying to introduce to the, you know, back into the industry, and it's the right time, I think.
Brilliant, thank you. I'd just like to pass on a comment to you, Rosie, and from Claire, and they've just said you've created an incredible product, Rosie. So
Thank you.
Pass that one on to you.
The proof is in the pudding. You have to try it.
Yes.
Yeah. You got some lovely feedback in the comments there, Rosie, from everyone. So well done. And first person to do a live demonstration on the collective, and you did it incredibly well. So well done to you. If we could all give you a round of applause, we would, because it's difficult to do that. Would you like the rest of your slides up, Rosie?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Give me just a second.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my, so we go through that. So that the refill scheme, send back 12 jars free of charge. We'll send you a free postage paid. The jars come back, I sterilize them, refill them, and they go back out to you at a 15% discount on your next order. So what more? I mean, I think we're trying to commit and make sure that, you know, not only salons, but I want colleges and academies to at least introduce this. It is, I just feel that there's no harm in just even trying the product and see for yourself. There's nothing to it. It just works exactly as you would do waxing. So it's got 100% natural. In fact, when we talk about sustainability, initially I used to make the product from sugarcane, but now realize that sugarcane uses a lot of water in manufacture when they grow the sugarcane. So I've turned into beet sugar, which comes from Europe and UK, and it uses less water. It also the carbon footprint. You know, you think about all these things, that how you minimize everything. So yeah, so that's what we've constantly trying to work ways to get around. How do you minimize waste, and getting around to adapt to whatever's available now in the market. So we've got vegan, it's certified, cruelty-free, and all that that I have. And I've also launched my training program. So more than happy to visit PT City centers or anybody. I can make a group of it and go through. It's a 1-day, 4-hour hands-on. You get the starter kit, you're certified, and yeah, just get the academies to introduce the product into the training sector.
Fantastic. We've just had a question up. How much is the training? I don't know if you want to cover that now, or you can cover that with individual centres. It's up to you.
I can send you information, but the course is £150. But for the next month, I'm going to give 15% discount to whoever enrolls into it. I have my training here as well, where I'm based in Wellingborough, but I have one training in Essex, one room there, and we're just I want to locate few, one up in North or, you know, in different areas of the country so that it's easier for people to go and, you know, get the training done within their location. So that's my ambition, and I hope I can achieve it. So anybody wants to reach out, please, I'm more than happy to, you know, have a chat and discuss any future possibilities.
Thank you so much, Rosie. That's so kind of you. And a brilliant demonstration, as Kate said earlier. So as I say, we've had some great comments in about your demonstration and everything else. And we're going to send out the slides afterwards, but here are Rosie's contact details.
Yeah, and please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. We are trying to promote. We do Salon of the Month, so whoever's, you know, using the brand, we feature them. And yeah, and I'll be at Professional Beauty. So if you are there, it's the right time. Sustainability will be launched by British Beauty Council. So we'll probably hopefully see other brands and get inspiration from what's out in the market.
Fantastic. And we'll come and see you because we're attending the Pro Beauty this year. So we'll come down and see you.
Okay, so all this information will be like, whoever wants to contact me, please do that on my my email address, or go on aquanatural.co.uk to get any more information. I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you.
Thank you so much, Rosie. You've got some, yeah, everybody is so grateful for what
Any more questions?
No, lots of thanks. Someone said they drop you a message on Facebook and to check your Facebook Messenger, and someone else from Omni Academy in Surrey is happy to chat potentially about you doing some training from there. So we will pass on those details to you as well.
Excellent. But I honestly appreciate this opportunity, and you know, I think it's webinars like this that send the message out to perhaps somebody like me can never get to.
Absolutely. Well done to you, and thank you so much for doing.
So, thanks very much.
Thank you.
So just to finish off, and again, thank you very much, Rosie. We have our next beauty collective on the 12th of February. We're going to be talking all about skincare. And then we have on the 13th of March, we have our next, our following beauty collective. And we also have, for anybody who offers hairdressing in their centres, on the 28th of January, we have the hair and barbering collective. So again, if you haven't already signed up for any of those, then please do so. All our events can be found on the media page on our website. So go into the top, find the media centre, and then you'll find our events and news on that page. We also have a regional networking meeting on the 4th of March at Aylesbury campus in Buckinghamshire, and the skills regional networking meeting in Doncaster on the 10th of February. So again, sign up for any of those if you have availability. As I mentioned earlier, our guest speakers, we have our next beauty collective on the 12th of February. Again, it's going to start at 10 a.m. and we've got 3 guest speakers, and we're talking about skincare. We have brilliant Matt Taylor from Eve Taylor. He's going to be talking about treating rosacea. We have Sarah Artistry, who's going to be hopefully doing a bit of a demonstration on lymph drainage and the facial massage. And we've also got Kirsten from Susan Gerard International, and she's going to be looking at the skin needling treatments. So again, please do enjoy us at that event. And I'd also like, Kate, do you want to talk through this one? Sorry.
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. we would love some feedback from you with regards to, does the time work, does the length of the session work, all of that sort of thing. So please, if you can just take 2 minutes, either scan the QR code now on your mobile phone and complete it that way. And also when I send out this presentation, it will actually have the link to the form for you to fill in as well, because we really want to tailor this to you. And in order to do that, we just need you to spare 2 minutes to do that feedback for us. So I'll have that on the screen just for a minute more, but the link will come out to you as well via email. You will also get a link to the recording, and it will also be on the VTCT Skills YouTube channel, because I'm sure you'll agree today's session has also been perfect for students, and there's so much that you can use from today as a resource for them. So please do make sure you visit the YouTube channel as well, and you can use that video as and whenever you like, this year, next year, use it as you wish. And we will pass on all contact details to our guest speakers today. They've just been fabulous. I feel very inspired to not buy any more. I'm like looking around now, looking at all my plastics, thinking I need to start buying refillables. So hopefully we will all take something away from today as well. So thank you so much, Rosie.
Can I just mention my training program is CPD approved brand program by Habias.
Lovely.
So it is not something that it's off the shelf, but it has been approved.
That's fantastic. No, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
And then finally,
Thanks,
please
yeah.
tag us on our social media channels. So we have a Facebook, Twitter, TikTok and Instagram. So please share images of your work, of your students, if they consent to being shared. We love to see it, and we do reshare a lot of the posts that come through, and it's just really nice for us to see actually happening inside our centres as well. So please do tag us. Carol and I have our own ones as well that we do need to put up there, but you can just type our names in with VTCT and we will come up. Carol, have I forgotten anything else, or are we perfectly on time at 11:30? We are.
We are absolutely perfectly on time, so that's great. But please do, I hope you've enjoyed this session today. And once again, can I just thank Victoria and Rosie for their brilliant contribution to the webinar. It's absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you at the February session. And as I say, the Beauty Collectives are going to be done on virtually a monthly basis. So we'll have one each month for the rest of the college year, and they'll all be on different subjects. And if any of you want to suggest a topic that we try and get guest speakers for, then please get in touch with either Kate or myself. Or if you actually want to speak on one or do something on one of our webinars, then again, please get hold of both of us, because we're interested in and making it exciting for obviously all our centres. So thank you for coming today. Really appreciate it. And as I say, I think most of you either have Kate's or my contact details.
Yeah.
And we will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you, Victoria.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.